when it comes to outbound, that's what I'm seeing is AI will, if we keep going down the path, AI will replace a lot of SDRs. And it's only the ones that know how to call and have a conversation and who know how to customize better than AI that are going to win. That's my hot take on top of funnel. What about you?
No, I 100% agree. It will outscale you. It'll out-execute you. It'll out-template you. It'll out-generic you every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Where I think that the gap for people that go, okay, but how do I do it better? I think, again, it's that human in the loop is like, well, are you expecting AI to create the cadence? Then you're making a mistake.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the AI-Powered Seller. Today's episode is AI is only as smart as your go-to-market strategy. Today's episode is going to be a very interesting one for my leaders out there, for my reps who are trying to think more strategically about how to run their business. What I'm really excited about is today's guest, Mr. Ryan Cahill. Ryan's been an SVP of enterprise sales, done a ton of go-to-market consulting. He's a CRO of GTM Advisors. He's helped more than 100 SaaS companies, including LinkedIn, Calendly, Dropbox, build scalable, data-driven GTMs systems. And what you're going to really get out of today's episode is where to think about the key areas to get started around what's going to actually move the needle for my business right now. In a lot of the other episodes, we'll talk tactically about different agents and different assistants, but today's episode, we're going to help you to understand, what does a healthy AI-powered GTM system look like? What does a RevOps leader look like in today's day and age? And exactly where should I be thinking about getting started if I'm in kind of both like the rep, the leader, or the operational role? So really excited to jump in. And thank you, Ryan, for joining me. Pumped to have you on the show.
AI-Powered Seller.
Hey, Ryan, thank you so much for joining me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
You've had a chance, in your current role and other roles to see AI or tools that look or feel or say they're AI, right? Which is a whole other, a Mythbusters show we could do. Shout out to Mythbusters if you know that show.
Yeah.
So why do you think organizations, I've got my take, but why do you think individuals and organizations are struggling to get the ROI in particular from various AI deployments? And then maybe fast follow is like, are there any culprits you see as like the typical pitfall? It's usually we do this thing first.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think from my experience, what I've seen is I think maybe even the setup is where things start to go wrong. I think the setup being that there is the assumption that AI is this magic wand and go to market. And that somehow when I wave my magic wand, it will solve all my problems, right? And I think that's part of just a misunderstanding of what AI really is. And I think the function that AI practically plays, for at least my point of view, for many years to come. AI, in my opinion, is a tool. A tool requires a user, and a user has to leverage said tool to deliver an outcome, right? And so I think the perspective that AI on its own can solve a problem is one of the gotchas, where it's like, we don't need a human, or we don't need data infrastructure, or we don't need a process. We can just add AI and AI will kind of autonomously solve problems. It's like, that doesn't exist today and may not exist in my lifetime. I don't know. We'll see. So I think that's one thing, is just the expectation of what you're going to get out of it. I think the other thing is the expectation that somehow you can adopt a new tool, technology, capability, and not do any pre-work whatsoever. That's just silly. You don't implement a new product without doing some pre-work. You don't roll out new methodology without doing pre-work. You don't train people. Like, you need to get some structure in place. So if you want AI to, in most cases, increase capacity, increase speed, and deliver an enhanced set of execution, well, then you need to have at least a launching point of, what do you want it to do? And what does good look like? How do I know if the thing is performing the way I want it to perform? And I think where I've seen people go wrong is, and I don't think it's necessarily the tool or the technology's fault, is they're like, oh, we turned it on and now it writes our emails for us. And it's like, well, maybe it could, or maybe it can get you to 80%, or maybe it can get you from 80% to 90%, but like, it isn't going to just do it for you. And I think that's where I think I've seen a lot of people go like, well, I tried it and it didn't work. And it's like, well, maybe, but maybe it was set up to fail from the beginning, that you didn't thoughtfully consider what this thing would do.
Yeah, I think for what I see is some type of in between there where a lot of what I talk to clients about in our current customers is look, AI, and again, I'm talking specifically like Gen AI, right? And we'll get into the nuances too around, like I'm implementing Gong versus, I'm
Right, right,
implementing,
right,
Chat GPT as an infrastructure.
right.
Is that I think what companies need to realize is Gen AI is changing the way that people do their jobs. It's not like where I don't know if it's disagree is I don't think it's a tool. I think it is a foundational shift in how we solve problems as humans, and therefore is actually more similar to like the internet and like how
Yeah.
people should deploy it, that it's going to completely rewrite the way that we work. And what
Yep.
I see is that sometimes when people think of it as like, and again, different like rev tech, different than Gen AI, maybe like caveat,
Yeah.
right? Where because I think rev tech, 100%, they treat it like a tool. And I think for most people, you have to realize don't deploy it if you're not going to make people change behavior.
Yeah.
If it's not about like, we're going to do something different, as opposed to your point,
Yeah.
like, well, we deployed it. It's like, I think it's the change, but I think we're saying the same thing around change management lift. If you're not
Yeah.
ready for the change management lift that's going to happen, then you're doomed from the start. That's kind of how
Yeah.
I see it. It's like, you got to be able to appreciate that if you're going to deploy this against X, you're changing the way that someone has done X
Right.
for a very long time.
Yeah, no, I think you make a good point. So I think the thing that I see too is, when you look at, SaaS as an industry, both of us have a ton of experience in. And so like, I think you look across SaaS, I think one of the mistakes that I see repeatedly is there is no definition of good. And so they conclude that activity equals success. It's wrong. You can write the bad email a million times and be unsuccessful. And so I think the key thing is, if you're using this capability, there needs to be an understanding or expectation of a check and balance of like, well, what is good out of it? So can AI write emails? Absolutely. It can write them at scale that humans can't ever keep up with. Does it mean they're good? Absolutely not. And so like, there has to be a check and balance to say, okay, what is kind of like an operational QA of like, is this hitting the standard that we want our business and our brand and our team and our customer to interact with? And someone's got to define that, because otherwise anything is good. And so I think that's where there's a missing kind of check and balance there, to say like, there should be a human in the loop to say,
That's right.
okay, let's double check this first from QA standpoint, and then secondarily, to your point on the check and balance of the outcome, is like, are we driving open rates? Are we driving conversions? Are we driving funnel? Are we driving dollars? If the outcome isn't there, then you need to start back at the beginning and go, well, maybe the things we're doing, albeit faster and more efficient, aren't any good.
Yeah, let's go down. Let's go down this rabbit hole a little bit, and we'll focus on top of funnel, because
Right.
I do think that this is a good one for a lot of people, because I think for a lot of clients, and what you see too, probably Ryan, a lot of the first applications people are thinking about it, and I put Gong in a different bucket.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're thinking like Gong Engage is top of funnel, and I did a post on Monday. People got really upset when I talked about AI replacing SDRs, and
Yeah.
the point that I was making was this. Most companies, to your point, are focused on activities first and outcomes second. And if you are asking your team to send a bunch of templates that are not customized to the sub industry, customized to the individual, and pulling in
Right.
specific insights, AI is better than you. AI can
Yeah.
out template you, because it can pull in real time insights on, hey, what are trends for a VP of operations in Marquette, Michigan around airplane aviation manufacturing parts, right?
Yeah.
Where a rep is never going to take the time. AI can at least pull in something that's going to be quasi relevant,
Yeah.
and therefore better than your shitty template that says, I help operations leaders achieve this outcome. And so
Yeah.
that is what I actually think is the issue, Ryan, is that I think this is actually there's an AI component to this, that using AI on bad does not equal good. But AI in place of static templates will win. And if your
For
teams are
sure.
sending static templates and you're not asking, you hit this on the head, the human in the loop, the only teams we see that are winning at outbound, AI and my knowledge gets me 80 to 90%. And then
Yeah.
I put my sauce on it, right?
Yeah.
I'm like what I know is like, oh, it's not that value prop. It's actually this stat that's going to resonate with the ops manager in Marquette, Michigan.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to outbound, that's what I'm seeing is AI will, if we keep going down the path, AI will replace a lot of SDRs. And it's only
Yeah.
the ones that know how to call and have a conversation and who know how to customize better than AI that are going to win. That's my hot take. My hot take on top of funnel. What about you?
No, I 100% agree. And well, I think where people get maybe emotional about it is that there's a disconnect in that ecosystem. I think it's unfair to characterize all SDRs the same. There are some very strategic, very thoughtful, very high EQ SDRs, and there are people who literally cut and paste all day. And they have the same title. They are not the same capability, the same person. And so I think when you group them all together, I think that's where you get kind of the friction. But I 100% agree. It will outscale you. It'll out execute you. It'll out template you. It'll out generic you every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Where I think that the gap for people that go, okay, but how do I do it better? I think, again, it's that human in the loop is like, well, are you expecting AI to create the cadence? Then you're making a mistake. AI is not smart enough to know you shouldn't be emailing people Sunday morning. AI is not smart enough to know those things out of the box. Like AI is not smart enough to know that the day after Thanksgiving, you probably shouldn't be hitting people up with you know what I mean? Like there's got to be some human check and balance to be like, okay, well,
Correct.
this person just came to our event last night, so we probably should take them out of the cadence. Like there's got to be some checks and balance of like human logic. AI is not going to replace that. The ability to personalize a message and tailor it to nuances and things, it is better than humans almost across the board. I think there's some that are better than others that I've seen and some of the tools, but like it is just the ability to tailor speech in an effective way. It is unrivaled in. I've never seen
Yeah.
anything like it. Now, to your point though, I think it will absolutely replace the capacity constraint that humans place on outreach today.
Yeah. That's a
That's
good way to
gone.
put it.
But I do think that the combination of thoughtful, strategic guidance for outreach with however many appropriate for your scale humans leveraging AI will outperform AI on its own and will absolutely outperform humans on its own.
All right. As usual, if you're getting value out of the episode, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I really, really appreciate you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to bookmark this if you're listening on the podcast as well too. And make sure that you share with one friend. That's what I've been trying to ask people. Share with one friend. Everyone's trying to figure out this AI thing. I am as well too. I know I appreciate it when people share something with me that helps me to get smarter. So make sure, share, subscribe to the episode, and help to make somebody else smarter as well. For a lot of leaders, they'll come to us and they'll say, Ryan, look, our top of funnel is struggling, etc. And then you
Yeah.
go and you have the conversations. And I think this is the scary part. This is leadership. This is senior leadership. Most of the feedback is, but yeah, this will slow them down and they won't be able to send as many emails. And you go, oh my God. Again, are we talking about outcomes? Like,
Yeah.
do you care more about, and it's like, how did you pick the activity metric in the first place? I
Yeah.
guarantee it was like, or like, this is what I did at my previous job,
Yeah.
or it's based on the mean. And the reality is, this is another place I think AI crushes it, which is, look, Jake's numbers are this, Ryan's numbers are this. Let me manage to the individual, right? And I
Yeah.
think that a lot of sales leadership manages to the mean, and
Yeah.
that top performers can't stand it. Bottom performers are like, yeah, whatever, I'll do what you tell me to do.
And what doesn't make any sense about that is like, and I'm sure you're no different than I am. I get prospected a dozen to 2 dozen times a day. LinkedIn, email, text, unfortunately, elsewhere. With all the technology, it's no better than it was 5 to 10 years
It's
ago. The
worse.
outreach is
It's worse.
terrible.
It's getting worse. I actually think it's easier to cut through the noise today than it ever has been. Like if you literally show that you've done this much research, you're top one percenter. And this
Oh,
is what I
yeah.
think it go back to like early 2010s, or let's even go back like Sales Loft Outreach 2015. So let's go
Yeah.
back literally just 10 years ago. I would argue the outreach in 2013 is way better than the outreach in 2025.
But let's dig into that though. So what's different? One, I think during that period, because I managed North America for Celogen at that time, and I had two people running my business development teams. Weekly coaching. How often does that happen anymore? None.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Good luck.
they reviewed weekly the top performing email. When does that happen? They optimized subject line amongst the team weekly. Like they were doing the work,
Exactly.
the real work, which is what works, what's driving outcomes. They weren't just going, well, let's everyone get X number of messages out. I didn't care. I never set, my manager did, but I never personally set as an organization running revenue. I never set an outreach volume goal. I set an outcome goal. I want you to book X number of meetings. If you have to send 2 messages or 2 million, I don't care. You have to get the outcome because the outcome is the only way that we progress as a business. That's how people should be managing. The fact they send 20 emails or 30 emails or a million emails doesn't make any difference if they don't convert to dollars at some point.
That's right. And also in managing from that, like what we'll do is with a lot of our clients is like make what we call it meaningful conversations is the first piece,
Yeah.
which is like, look, you've got to connect with 3 people. So they say, hey, I'm not the right
Right.
person. I'm going to connect you with John. Or yeah, timing's interesting, but maybe not like now. Let's work on booking
Right.
time. But that's also an outcome, right? And again, to your point, if and then with a rep, it's like, look, you're not hitting the outcomes. So now we need to work it back, right? Now
Yeah.
we need to start to work backward on, look, it's 20 calls or whatever. So let me ask you this. So we're talking about a lot what doesn't work. So what does
Yeah.
a healthy AI powered go-to-market system look like? What are people doing? What works? What doesn't work?
I think from what I've seen, it's very dependent on leadership, on what their understanding and capability is. I have not seen AI be successfully adopted without pretty experienced leadership. And I think it takes someone that understands how the ecosystem works, that understands the funnel at a deep level, that really understands the components of how you're driving success to optimize and improve the machine. I think I kind of go back to my like go to market architecture like experience. If you don't understand the nuances of that, you'll just keep getting it wrong and you'll just be more efficiently wrong. And so like a couple examples that I've seen that I think are just best practices. So one is sales reps using a hopefully constrained private GPT for an account, no brainer. Everyone
No
should be
brainer.
able to query all the data, all the calls, all the transcripts and go, what did they say about this? What is this? So an executive comes into a meeting and goes, hey, prep me. I got to go talk to this VP in 2 minutes. I want to know what I need to talk about and what their hot buttons are. You should be able to just
Boom.
query that and get those answers. That's an easy one. It's a no brainer, but I don't see it used that often. I think it's
No,
pretty rare that
because
people are
leaders don't
doing
know
that.
how. Most
They don't
leaders
know
don't.
how, right?
They're not investing, and I think it's a really good point. If you are in revenue, we just launched our AI certification program, and depending on when you're listening, you might have to sign up for the next one. But we have 20 plus from VP to frontline managers in the leadership track, and it's great to see. But I think what happens in leadership is you were successful doing it this way, and we need to wake up that the way that you did account review in
Yeah.
2020, back when I had the account planning and account strategy, and
Yeah.
it's just completely changed. And there is no benefit for you to make people pay the dues because that's how you did it. And I
Yeah.
feel like sales is very much a pay your dues culture. And I feel like that is where like
Yeah.
leaders are just not taking the time that they need to learn the Gen AI. And then I think there's also a little bit of ego or like what got me here. Let's just keep running back the good old times. That
Yeah.
I
Rinse and
I feel
repeat.
like it's hurting them because what you just said
For
is
sure.
possible today. A lot of you leaders might be listening and go, "Wait, you can do that?" It's like you could do that about 9 months ago,
Yeah.
and
So I'll give
and
you
most
another
of them are
practical
doing
example that
nothing.
I've seen that I think is also kind of low hanging fruit is account research and discovery prep is the most underutilized thing in sales. Discovery is
Yeah,
the most important skill, and prep for discovery is the most missed opportunity across the board. The ability with AI to sound like an expert or maybe even be an expert is unparalleled in any point in my career. I remember preparing for meetings like when I was back selling like responses for like marketers. Like I didn't know shit about the travel industry. I would kind of like,
That's
well,
right.
I travel too. Like you try to make something anecdotal. You can be an expert on travel in maybe
Immediately.
10 minutes. You
And
could know
expert and
unit
not let's give
economics. You could know industry trends. Like if you actually know what to ask, you can sound like an MBA in any industry with 10 to 15 minutes of preparation.
we just did this, so you'll appreciate this. So we work with a lot of professional sports teams. So we did a workshop with shout out to the Pittsburgh Penguins last week, and we had their reps do this. And hey, I'm reaching out to this business. This 26-year-old rep, they don't know what an HVAC company is.
Right.
So it's like, hey, what are the trends? Here's the company. What are trends for HVAC companies in the greater Pittsburgh area? What's a typical, most likely average customer acquisition cost?
Yeah.
What are some potential ways that we might be able to help them grow their business, and compare that? And they didn't have it hooked into their CRM, but if you had it hooked to your CRM, compare that to other people that we have. So again, it's 100% spot on. That like this used to take me. You'll love this. One of my first jobs, we had a industry trends binder. Like it was literally
Oh, yeah.
a binder this
Yeah.
thick, and it was like manufacturing, transportation, and that's how I had to learn to get up to speed, and it took me a year to get up to speed on. Again, I think you can ramp a rep in like
Well, or
1/5 the time
fast
now.
forward to like not that long ago, because I'm guilty of this. I built playbooks as part of Winning by Design. I did hundreds of them. How many of those had that one screen battle card that somehow was going to summarize like manufacturing? It was like
That's
a
right.
couple of data points, whatever. Like you can't understand and
Yeah.
manufacturing isn't manufacturing. It's like, well, do you do press manufacturing? Is it plastic injection molding? Like,
Consumer package good,
yeah, like
industrial
whatever.
manufacturing,
So
heavy equipment.
but I think to your point, like back to like kind of this stuck in the past kind of mentality, when you think about like account research in the past, you truncated it out of necessity because you just couldn't go down the rabbit
That's
hole
right.
to get the information. You can now summarize, I don't know, 1,000,000 pages of information in 30 seconds. You can scan through it. You can do a couple deep dives as you go, maybe refine a couple things in a way that just was not possible without AGI. And if you're not thinking that way, you're not, to
You're
your
not being
point, like
customer
you're
centric.
thinking
You're
in
not
the
being
old
customer
terms.
centric. Yeah, I just don't think at this point you're being customer centric. Like, guys, if AI can automate a lot of the research and prep for your clients, when they talk to a human, if you can't add value, they're not going to want to keep talking to you.
Yeah.
Again, I'm talking to sales teams. I go, guys, the future is going to be if on the front end of the sale, if you can't add incremental value and show that you get it and I just want to go talk to customer success. Like, let me just talk to the solutions engineer and customer success, because that's who I actually need to know. Because I've already done my diligence.
Or the scary thing is, you just talk to ChatGPT, and if those answers are better than talking to the direct company, you don't ever talk to the company.
That's my point. That's why self-service, like every SaaS company, I believe this should have a self-service option for that exact reason.
Yeah.
And then I've got a killer onboarding program, but that's a whole other part two here. So we're almost at time here, and this has been, I think we're definitely have to do a part two, because this is the type of energy that I enjoy. What are you excited about over the next 6 to 12 months? If you said, Jake, AI powered seller folks, what is the thing? And I love the two tactical piece of advice. I think everyone can go run with those two use cases. They're no-brainer use cases. They will move the needle. Account research, account-based, GPTs or projects. You can use projects too in a similar capacity.
Yeah.
What is the other thing that you say in the next 6 months, this is what gets me excited?
I hope it can get there. I think it's going to take a bit of prompting, but I think the opportunity to learn about your own business is a missing one. So this is kind of like marketing ops, rev ops, sales ops, like that kind of ecosystem. I think really understanding the nuance of like, who are we doing business with? And is that different than what's happened in the past? There's a lot of dependencies. One, you got to have some good data, you got to have some good data architecture, et cetera. But I think one of the missed opportunities for a lot of organizations is they don't listen enough to what's happening. And so we're still chasing like the enterprise customer, and we don't realize that we haven't sold an enterprise customer in 3 quarters
That's
and we're
right.
selling mid-market. Or like, that's a silly example, but that kind of
No,
idea
it's a great
is
one.
like,
Yeah.
okay, well, this vertical's hot for whatever reason. Let's take a step
Healthcare.
back. Let's learn about that. Let's market to them. Like, let's double down. And that's one of the feedback that I've been giving over the last, handful of quarters, because it's been a tough time in SaaS, right? Is you need to be double and tripling down on your success. You should be amplifying success. Who's winning in every aspect? How are they winning? Who are they winning with? And let's go do more of that. Don't go into new markets. Don't try
Yeah,
new things. Go find where success is happening and just do more of it. I
that's
think
right.
that's a missed opportunity. But I think a lot of organizations need a little bit of handholding to help them figure that out, especially when you have any scale. That's a harder answer to get to. If we can do some of that data analysis and kind of summarize it and go, okay, these are your three best verticals. This is what that profile looks like. This is the persona that generally engages with us. I think bubbling that up to the surface would empower revenue leaders in a very tangible way that I think is difficult today.
Yeah, I love that one. I think like that ability to really learn your business and then, just imagine how much smarter we're going to be to make quick pivots. Dude, boom, boom. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, was this a good idea? Nope, not a good idea. Like so much of revenue leadership is gut and just the
Yeah.
ability to move toward more database. You can spend more time talking to customers, the right people. Like it's all the things that we should want to do. So I think
And the
that's a good,
ability to
good
pivot more frequently and faster. So
and
instead of you do
accurately.
3 tests a year, you might do 40. And
That's
and
right.
across the revenue spectrum, that's the other thing is I think missing across every organization I work with is any effective closed loop feedback between different departments. Why are we
That's number
churning
one.
out? Does that go back to sales? Almost never.
No, no.
Sales doesn't go back to BD. BD doesn't go back to marketing. It's like, guys, this is a team sport. If people played team sports like this, they would lose every game. You have to talk, like communicate. But I think creating easy ways to bubble up those insights to be able to share. I mean, you could optimize marketing, business development, sales in like a quarter, not a year.
Okay, that might be the quote of the episode. If people play team sports like this, they would lose every single time. So that's it. I love that quote. I'm definitely gonna steal that. So hey, man, I love the conversation. This is a great
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It
conversation.
was
I
great.
think a lot of tactical advice. And where can people find you? What's the best place to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn normally, I try to communicate pretty efficiently there. I get bombarded by messages, but I'm always open to talk to people. I mean,
Cool,
I love this stuff. Like I'm a fixer by nature, so I like wrestling with this stuff. It's fun. And yeah, hopefully
awesome.
we'll see a lot of cool things. I'm excited to try out, some of the stuff that you've launched as well. And really I think there's a huge opportunity to apply this stuff in real life. I just think it's going to be harder than people want it to be, but it's no less transformational. It just means you got to get your hands dirty a little bit. And so
That's
you
right.
just got to go into it with that point of view.
Stop thinking. Yeah, for some of these, it's like you got to just pick the one use case and just go and stop thinking about what
Yeah.
85 steps down the road looks like. So
Yeah.
I
Just
hear
go
you,
win
man.
one battle for sure.
Yeah, fix one bottleneck. That's what I say. It's like, we can do all this cool stuff later. So, all right, man. Appreciate you, Ryan. Thanks for joining and appreciate everybody for tuning in to this episode of the AI Powered Seller. We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.
If you are somebody who is getting serious about this, now is the time. Sign up for our AI certification program that is going live, cohort number 2 in January. We're about halfway through cohort 1. We've got a rep track, a leader track. If you don't have the time, you're busy, but you go, Jake, I need to make time. I need like 2 hours a week where I'm getting up to speed on this. It's 6 weeks. Sign up for the certification. I promise you, I've got a money back guarantee. If you don't get value out of it, I will more than refund you your money because I'm that confident that this is going to change the way you sell and the way that you lead sales teams.